Welcome, everybody. I'm Rev.Frances Lorenz, and it's my delight to welcome you in this wonderful time of gathering to witness our faith as we honor the life of Stanley J. Lee. As we come together in sorrow, acknowledging our human loss, we also come together acknowledging the gift of Stan's life. God grant us grace that we may find comfort in this service and come to understand that we have eternal life. And so to begin our celebration of life service, two of Stan's grandchildren, Teddy Leo Bass and Thea Waite, will light the memorial candle in the Jewish tradition, which will be a prayer followed by the candle lighting. Thank you.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'chadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you. So, Father, Mother, God of unfailing love, we're gathered here today as friends and family of our beloved Stan, who departed this world on June 27th and was reunited into the unity of spirit. So as we honor Stan today, let unconditional love that was showered upon Stan during his life fill this service. Help us learn how to love each other unconditionally, like Stan did. And as Ernest Holmes would say, the light of heaven shines through us and illumines our path. The light eternal is our guide and our protection. And in that light, there is no darkness. There is only perfect light shining from the altar of perfect love. O light and love with us, thou art welcome. Let light shine through us and illumine the way for all of us gathered here today. So it is. Amen. And so Jim Valley was one of Stan's favorite CSL musicians, and so he's going to do an invocation in song called Father Eternity.
Father eternity, Lord of all things that be, mountains and majesty, guide us home tonight. Mother of nature, sing guide us home tonight. Tears wash the ages clean. Love comes from one unseen. Let there be light on earth. May all souls know their worth. Angels in timeless flight, guide us home tonight. Guide us home tonight. Guide us home tonight. Father eternity.
So often Stan and Linda would go to Reverend Drew's Thursday night mindfulness meditation, and I'm inviting him up to share a mindfulness meditation today.
I know we'll hear a lot about Stan today and how beloved and blessed and beautiful human being he was, man, and just a strong connection. And before we begin the meditation, I just want to, in his honor, offer a little thought about him. Did you hear about the agnostic, dyslexic insomniac? Stayed awake all night wondering if there really was a dog. So humor is very important, and it helps us all. So now what we're going to do is really just, with that lightness and awareness, is realize the eternality of all of existence. And so Stan is not gone. Stan is just transformed. And what we're going to do is just breathe for a few minutes presently and feel that presence of this love in this room and of Stan's being. So if you would like to, just close your eyes. I'll ring the bell in about a minute when we're done. It's only going to be a minute. Take a deep breath. Become very present where you are. And just pay attention for a minute. Whatever's arising, sounds, concentrate on your breath and feel that presence of love. Take another deep breath. And just take a second and reach out and pat the person next to you. Say, we're glad we're together in this love. And we're blessed that Stan was with us all. So let's carry that spirit forward through this entire service and forever in honor of Stan. Blessings.
And now Natalie Kent and Charlotte Bass will present the Kaddish alternative from Ecclesiastes. Natalie will be doing that, followed by Charlotte Bass singing Mi Shebirak.
To everything there is a season, a time for everything under the sun, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to laugh and a time to cry, a time to dance and a time to mourn, a time to seek and a time to lose. This is the time we remember those who gave meaning to our lives. This is the time we remember the bonds that tied us together, the love that we shared, and the memories that remain with us all. Mi shebeirach avotenu mikor habracha leimotenu
to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mi shebehirach imotenu mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
And now I invite Eli Waite to the stage for a reading of 1 Corinthians 13, 1 through 13. And that will be followed by Jim Valley singing Love is the Way.
If I speak in the tongues of men or angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. For now we see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. And now these three remain, faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love.
Love is the way. Messengers from the mystery tell us things, all kinds of things. Love is the mother. We are her sons and daughters, and she shines bright inside us. Visible, invisible, as we trust or lose trust, or feel it start to grow again. Visible, invisible, as we trust or lose trust, or feel it start to grow again. In your light, I learn how to love. In your beauty, how to make poems dance inside my chest where no one sees you. Sometimes I do, and that sight becomes this art. We're gonna start again. Love is the way. Messengers from the mystery tell us things, all kinds of things. Love is the mother. We are her sons and daughters, and she shines bright inside us. All together, visible, invisible, as we trust or lose trust, or feel it start to grow again. Love is the way. Messengers from the mystery. Love is the way. Messengers. Love is the way. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Jim. So let's all join our hearts together in singing a few words from Joe Cocker's song, You Are So Beautiful. It will be played by Terry O'Hara, and that will be followed by sharing from Stan's 4 beautiful daughters and grandson Alex Schmidt.
You are so beautiful to me. You are so beautiful to me. Can't you see? Everything I hope for, everything I need, you are so beautiful to me. You are so beautiful to me.
All of my sisters are here. There are 5 of us all together. Beck and I, from my father's first marriage to Carol, Carlene and Elena, the stepdaughters he folded into his life with his second marriage to Shirley, and Rachel, a daughter from Carol's second marriage, technically no relation to him, and yet he claimed her as his half-daughter in a statement that was surprising, charming, and a riddle all at once. Becca and I have traveled by airplane to visit my father ever since he followed his mom and brothers out here in 1979. Mom would hustle us off on one end, and Dad would scoop us up on the other. We'd leave the land of patchwork farmland and manicured lawns to spend time in the land of tangled hedgerows and mountains, where mountains meet the sea. Everything orderly in Minnesota, and Washington was rich with reunion, time lapses of being together and being apart. I have learned to trust this creeping vine path of time. Though he was heartbroken by the divorce that tore the fabric of our family unit, that split defined how we did things. The time together was used to make as much of time as we could. He took me camping, he took me cross country, he took me to national parks and Claylock, made me feel like I could figure out how to do anything by myself, how to hike and travel long distance on my own, make my food from scratch, and anything I could dream up, how to stay out in the woods, that I don't need much more but a mat to sleep on and shelter over my head. From him, I learned of geodesic domes and Buckminster Fuller, that with enough ingenuity you could lift your own house from its foundation to provide headroom for your shipbuilder's workshop, and how to make a joke from a weird word like gibbous. What did Father Moon's children always say? Give us some more time with our dad. In Dad's office is the melted clock of Dali. Like a warming slab of camembert, it is oozing its way off the top of his bookshelf even as it displays the time. The persistence of memory, the constancy of coming together, of reuniting, that what has come before or hasn't, just doesn't matter, because time makes itself as that is all there is until there isn't. And I will insert Dad's haiku right here. Night mist makes trickles, as gray pearls form on a branch, drop, then form anew. The first time he visited my new house, he built us a fire pit from the discarded cobblestones of Old Nicollet Avenue. He made sure to leave gaps where plenty of air could circulate, better for a strong fire, because the extremes of temperatures it would have to endure in my Minnesota backyard. Each morning and night, he'd run the hose to wet the cement mortar so it would last all these many years. We sent him a photo of me shoveling the ash from the fire pit just the other day to show him that it had lasted the test of time. And like cobblestones, the sisters are here. The mortar that binds has been cured slowly, and space fuels the flames.
As you already know, Dad liked to tell a bad joke. This week I was reminded of a particular joke he was telling a lot a few years ago. It goes something like this. A couple of strings walk into a bar. Bartender says, I think you've heard it, "Are you guys a closed loop?" They say, "Afraid not." I, of course, laughed. I always laughed, no matter how bad his jokes were. I couldn't help it. When he was smirking with that little twinkle in his eye, I knew my cue. He called that joke his string theory joke. I, not being into physics like Dad was, I had to look up what string theory is. At first, it seemed complicated, but I learned that string theory, at its core, is a fairly simple idea. Everything in our universe is made up of vibrating strings of energy that are so small you can't even see them with a microscope. And these tiny strings vibrate in 10 dimensions, not just the 4 we think of. In my mind, it crosses over from the world of science to a more spiritual one. So Dad's string theory joke and the idea of him vibrating in 10 dimensions was running through my mind this week as I thought about what to say to honor him today. But I also thought of times past and distant past at Kalelak. I thought of how he made us laugh. I thought of his big, enveloping hug after months apart as I emerged from an airplane. I thought of the comfortable silence that is the result of a lifetime of knowing each other. I thought of our recent visits and our reassurances to each other of our love, and that things that were once troubling to our relationship, shame, anger, regret, had seemed to burn up and just blow away. I thought of his warm eyes and wild white eyebrows, his strong hands and healthy feet. I even thought of Norwegian folk tales about Norns spinning our fate as they spun their own vibrating strings. My thoughts were a jumble. And then I found this excerpt from a poem called String Theories by Deborah Brown that gives voice to what I want to say to Dad. I say nothing about how fast the light travels or of Einstein's problem catching up with it. Today, the strings have stories to tell. They pulsate to a rhythm. And I hold you in 10 dimensions. Wish you happy and safe in all of them. I know space and time curl around strings that give rise to gravity, which holds us here. The invisible strings in us spin themselves into specks of light, and 2 new forces, one strong and one weak, draw us together. This is the complicated shape of our time together, our past and the present, woven into fragment of the sky. It is an elegy to you, Dad.
So good to be here with all of you who came into Stan's life in so many different ways, through so many chapters. I learned so much about Stan and working with the 4Ds on the obituary and just all the wonderful parts of his life. I, too, have been reflecting a lot this week about what to share, what to say, and all the ways that I knew Stan and didn't know Stan. And I've been reminded of the Walt Whitman quote, "I am larger, better than I thought. I did not know I held so much goodness." Stan held so much goodness. I love this picture of him. It just shines that goodness. He had such a big heart, a lifelong passion for learning, quantum physics, string theory, spirituality, electric cars, solar energy. I mean, the list goes on. He had a deep caring about and commitment to his family and to all those he loved, and a commitment to growing and deepening as a person. Looking at the big picture of his life, it's so clear to me how Stan lived his values consistently, quietly, without fanfare, and always with a Stan joke along the way. I can't actually remember any of them to share, but I heard many in the 40-plus years that I knew him. For the record, when we first met Tina and Becca and Stan, Elaine and I used to call him Stan the man with the Volkswagen van. And I think you'll see a picture, if it made it into the slideshow, of Stan and Shirley in the Volkswagen van, so there really was one. I thought of many stories to tell, but what I really think of is actually, I do want to tell this one, sorry. So Stan was trying to explain to me what I think was quantum physics about 2 months ago, and about how, and I should Google it, Becca, but about how atoms are made up of a nucleus and electrons and protons, and that the vastness of space between these little tiny atoms in our body is like equivalent to spaces in the universe. And I was like, okay, Stan, great. And I was trying to remember how big those spaces were and what they related to. And he said, so when you put your fingers together, it's actually not solid. And I said, boy, you're really freaking me out, Stan. And of course, I didn't remember the details. But what I think about is in that space is all this love. All this love that through the heartbreaks of separation, and then through the joy of coming together and building and opening his heart further and opening his life further and connecting with people through jokes, through telling us about things we might not be that interested in, but now we wish we had listened more to, through welcoming children and grandchildren and new partners and their families and their children and extended families, and a new church in his last few years. Just through all of that, it's just love. So I'm so thankful to be here with all of you, honoring Stan.
I always say I was so lucky to have 3 such incredible and loving parents. Stan came into my life when I was 13, and as been mentioned, he and my mom enjoyed many adventures and included us kids on many of the adventurous trips as well. We skied in Mount Bachelor and Sun Valley, camped at Claylock, and spent a winter vacation on a sailboat in Cabo, to name a few. The tradition of trips together extended to adulthood with vacations with Stan and Mom, along with my kids to Seaside and Tucson, and in most recent years, trips to Aptos with Linda and Ron. And of course, the biannual 4Ds trip that takes our blended family to various locales. So far, this has included the Oregon coast, Mount Rainier, Wisconsin, Hood Canal, Heron, Montana, Nevada City, and just last summer, Claylock, again, revisiting the campground of our youth and sharing it with our families. The tradition of these family trips has provided such a strong base for our blended family to share in each other's lives and care and support each other. He and my mom's love for all of us provided the anchor and catalyst for these important relationships and traditions. Since I met Stan, he has always been a steadfast and supportive influence throughout my life. And of course, a doting and caring grandfather, Bompa Stan, to my children, Eli and Fia, attending sporting and church events, dance performances and musical recitals, and never missing an opportunity to celebrate a birthday. And of course, we cannot talk about Stan in all seriousness. As we know, one of Stan's biggest joys was sharing corny jokes. When Eli was 12, we spent the weekend with him at his house as Eli was at a chess tournament down there, and Stan and Eli had a corny joke off to see who could tell the best corny jokes. It was close, a 12-year-old and Stan, but I think Bompa Stan was the clear winner. So time to insert a corny joke here in honor of boat-loving Stan. One ship carrying blue paint collided with another ship carrying red paint. The crew is missing and believed to be marooned. Stan was always so proud of his daughters and their partners and his grandchildren, and never missed an opportunity to tell us that he was. In his life, he exemplified kindness, love, and caring for one another and the environment. He leaves behind a wonderful legacy for us all. May his memory be for a blessing.
Well, I think we've had a lot of really wonderful shares, just really profound words that just have really spoken to me. But this share, kind of like my Grandpa Stan, is a little unexpected. This is about unexpected advice. So one of the things that I think happens as you get older as a grandson is the dynamic with your parents, your grandparents. It really changes, right? As you become an adult and you walk further and further in your life, there's just kind of a transformation that happened. And I became to know my grandfather a little bit more on a deeper level. And two things that really stood out to me when I really thought about it. One is that my grandfather was very understated, like remarkably understated. And then the other thing is he was a mariner. He was an ocean mariner in the physical sense, right? But also in kind of the spiritual sense, right? In the spiritual world that I think a lot of us really understand in our own ways. And I think he and I really shared that. So when I graduated from college, it took a long time. It took me 8 years, and I kind of did it in a spiritual sense. It was kind of a mission for me, I kind of have to say. But Grandpa Stan had some really, really unexpected advice when I finally completed my very spiritual mission of finishing my undergrad. But it meant a lot, and he knew that too. So after I graduated, he pulled me aside, right, and he's like, "Okay, I have some advice for you, right?" And he looked at me straight in the eye, and he said, "Buy low and sell high. What? I've just completed my spirit quest here, my early life vision quest, and your advice to me is to buy low and sell high? Are you kidding me? But you know, I thought about it, and I really thought about it, and I reflected on it. And just like my grandfather, there was actually a lot beneath the surface to this. Because Stan lived this way. Stan lived the way of buy low and sell high. Because when you really think about it, he came here, right? And we were all in one way. We were all in one place when he bought into each and every one of us. I assume he knew all of you, although I don't actually know that, but I figure he knew most of you, right? And he bought into you in some way. And now he releases us. And at least for me, right, in a large part because of his love, his loyalty, his contributions to us, his steadiness to us, and his consistency with us, we see him depart, and he leaves us in a very different way. And, you know, as I think about it, buy low and sell high as a way of being, it was the best damn advice I could have possibly gotten.
How wonderful, the sharing. That's beautiful. So now we will hear a song from Jim Valley, and he's going to play Walking to the Afternoon, which is a metaphor for what's Stan.
Love lies between stars in shimmering light, dreams that feel so right, friends that come and go, glory we could know, loving that we share, and all the pain we bear. Traces in the night, traces in our lives, on our way, walking to the afternoon. Morning comes at last. Embrace this moment, release the past. Surrender to this day at hand. Oh, I will follow you. Life comes calling to you. On our way, walking to the afternoon, beauty that we see. Love lies between stars in shimmering light, dreams that feel so right, friends that come and go, glory we could know, loving that we share, and all the pain we bear, kindness we could show, truth we've come to know. Walking to the afternoon, walking to the afternoon.
So at this time, we'd like to hear from others whose lives were touched by Stan. And I know that Sharon Sterling, who's the president of our board here at CSL, would like to share her experience with Stan.
Hi. Stan was a joy to have. He was on our board for the last 2.5 years, and he was really a wonderful person to have on the board. He was Stan the man because there were 6 women and 1 man. And he was such a gentle and kind man to all of us. He was very soft-spoken, but he shared his thoughts in few words. So when he spoke, we all listened. His thoughts and words were very powerful because there were few of them. So he headed up the facilities committee when he was here with us. Our first project that he and I took on was cleaning out the storage room downstairs that was packed. And it was a challenge, but he was so easy to work with. And I appreciated his ideas of sharing how to increase the functionality of that small space. And he always had great ideas. He always rose to the occasion and the needs within our building. He was great at following through on projects. If you knew that if Stan said he would do it, it would be done. And that was a wonderful gift that we could treasure and count on. Not only did he get it done with his time, but he also was very generous with his resources in helping with that. We're a very small community, and he really was stepped up to the plate so many times. He was generous not only with the building and resources, but just within our community. Just his presence there was a blessing. You know, that strong, solid person that you can always count on? That was Stan, our man. So we both appreciated his physically and his financial generosity with us. He was always behind the scenes, but he was so humble about it. You know, you'd say, well, where did that happen? Oh, it was Stan, you know. So we noticed, though, and we appreciated all of his gifts. Thank you, Stan.
Thank you, Sharon.
And some of the other gifts that we appreciated about Stan, as it has been mentioned, was his humor. That smile that he gave after he got the zinger was priceless, wasn't it? Well, I shared a lot of that same type of humor, and so I got it, and I loved his humor. One of his other greatest traits was his straightforward honesty. You could count on Stan saying exactly what he was thinking and what he meant. It was very straightforward, very honest. And yet it was so graceful to all those around him. He had a very quiet, non-assuming way about him. I will miss you, Stan. Your humor, your thoughts, that loving, caring, giving, and beautiful heart and smile. Thank you, Stan.
Thank you, Sharon. If you'd state your name. Yeah, thank you.
My name is Josh Kett, Tina's husband, and I had the wonderful fortune of having Stan as a father-in-law for many years. As others have mentioned, he had a unique sense of humor. I don't know if he actually invented father-in-law humor. Oh, I'm sorry, it's dad humor. Yeah, they're not always the most memorable of jokes. Actually, when I was thinking about coming up to share one, I kind of struggled because I was like, I don't know if I can really remember any of them. They weren't generally jokes that you committed to memory. They weren't. No, they weren't like funny in the funny sense. But the thing is, they were important. But they were important because it seemed like they were more about reminding us every time he told a joke like that you were cared, that he just kind of wanted to lighten up our life a little bit, and kind of remind us that we shouldn't take ourselves too seriously, and life itself is too important to be taken too seriously. And he was wonderful about that. You know, he made you feel special. He didn't kind of try to claim the limelight of, you know, doing something. It was just a warmth that he shared. But that didn't help as far as my remembering a joke. So I talked to my son Henry, who's joining us on Zoom. So if everyone wants to just turn around and say, "Hi, Henry, sorry you can't be with us." He helps kind of remember a joke, and so we're going to just kind of try that. He told it, and I was like, I think you remember that like as an 8-year-old, where it probably didn't totally make sense at the time, but it went something to the effect of, Stan had said that when he went to the bathroom, he liked to imagine that he was Spock and he was going in to piss off the Klingons. So, something like that. Anyway, many of you I don't know, but just glad to be here with all of you and just enjoy a lot of wonderful memories that we had together and how Stan brought us together. So thank you.
Thank you. Suzanne, you want to come up? No? Okay. All right. Anybody else like to share? Here we go.
My name is Alan Waite. I had the good fortune of knowing Stan, also son-in-law. I want to say my father passed when I was quite young, and when I married Elena, I had the good fortune of having a father-in-law and also a stepfather-in-law, and that was very much needed. It filled a void in my life. Shirley chose very well, and after her, Linda chose well. Stan was not flashy. He was, it's been said before, he was understated. I always felt warmth and love and belonging from Stan. And like Josh before me, I can't remember a single groaner, and I think that's perhaps a defense mechanism. I drove Stan's car here today, so he sold me his car. So I'm sitting in the seats where he probably farted. So. Love you, Stan. Miss you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
For me. My name is Charlotte Bass, and I am one of the grandkids. I want to say Grandpa's, his presence was, although we've talked about him being understated, he was, to me, very all-encompassing because no matter what you did, his love was very unconditional, and even though, like when I had my bat mitzvah and he did not know very much about being Jewish at all, he was there and he always wanted me to discuss with him, and he really wanted to learn so that he could be as loving and as supportive as possible. And that is something that you'll never forget, having someone in your corner like that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Okay. My name's Brenda Reagan. I was Shirley's niece, so Stan's niece as well. And that was one of the wonderful things just in my life is Stan coming into our lives. And one of our family's history is Christmas Eves together since the time I can remember until, now we sort of scattered. But when Stan joined our family, he became part of our gift-giving tradition, which was exchanging names at Christmas time and buying gifts and blah, 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 and all that stuff. So I have like a 20-year-old Stan joke that's actually written on a piece of paper, and I felt like I had to bring it, and we would see how it went, and I'd be remiss now if I didn't like read it, because it really is in full written by Stan. So one year, and I can't remember, this was probably in the mid-90s, and maybe Carlene and Elaine, I don't know, Stan had my name. So I opened a box, I remember, and it had a bottle of mineral oil in it. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, like, how do I respond to this? So this note, and you can see there was Scotch tape, and I don't know where the bottle of mineral oil went, but this is what it said. You too can be a regular person. Okay. And I don't remember. How old was I then? Maybe in my early 30s. Okay, so I'm thinking, all right. Try this if you are getting bored for Christmas. And I'm thinking, okay, we're at Christmas. And I'm, you're sitting, everybody's watching, and probably no one remembers this but me, but I'm kind of thinking like, I don't even know how to respond right now. So then it says, it will make you a regular cut-up. And then the last line is, this is for your cutting board. So I got a really lovely cutting board, which I do still have, and that was just one of my memories, and I just thought, I have to I keep this in my recipe box. I guess it's kind of fun. Also, my daughters are not here today, but they both had interesting memories that I had no idea. My oldest daughter, Jessica, and some of you may have seen this on Facebook, apparently Uncle Stan taught her how to tie her shoes one Christmas Eve and to tell time on an analog watch. I kind of felt like, oh, I must have fallen down a little bit in my parenting duties, since apparently someone else had to teach her. And Allison, my youngest daughter, recently told me that at one of our gatherings, apparently he cracked an almond and there was a dime inside. So I don't know how he did that trick, but maybe he's tried that on others of you as well. So we will miss Stan greatly, and we've had a great time with Linda as well. In fact, the last time we've had a process of running into Stan and Linda now in odd places. John once at a McMinimans in Oregon, and the last time we had a meal with Stan and Linda was in Mesa, Arizona. So anyway, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, I think I'm going to move on, unless there's someone who's just dying to get up here. So I'm going to give a eulogy, a brief eulogy. A eulogy is praise for someone's life, and there is that beautiful biography in your program, which Stan's daughters wrote with Stan before he passed. They spent hours with him listening to his stories about his life, and you can read that letter later, but I thought I'd share how I knew him as his minister and friend. I met him right after his second wife, Shirley, passed a little over 7 years ago, and the philosophy of the Centers for Spiritual Living was compatible with what he'd learned from the spiritual mystic and physicist Gary Zukav. And so we love to have conversations about Gary Zukav, because my favorite book was Seat of the Soul, talking about his automobile. It's probably the seat of the soul you're sitting on. Anyway, so we thank Stan for his humor and grace. I'm not going to go into jokes because it's been so well covered. But his favorite teacher was Gary Zukav, and Gary was asked by Oprah Winfrey to define soul. And Gary said, soul is what you are. It's not a myth. Soul is a powerful, purposeful essence. It's at the very center of an individual. But do not think you are the entirety of your soul. Your soul is enormous. It existed before you were born and will exist after you die. Our souls do not die. It's like a fleet of ships. Every fleet has a mothership that gives direction to the smaller boats. And the mothership knows why you are here. It knows why you experience storms and happiness. Your job as a little boat is to try to sail in the direction of the mothership. You can choose and create anything you want. So you're free to sail in the opposite direction too. But to enjoy the best life, you will try to sail towards the mothership, towards the universal soul of God. And Stanley knew that truth. Another characteristic of Stanley, which you've observed, is the love of his family. The fruit doesn't fall far from the tree. I think to know Stan is to know his children and his grandchildren and his partner, Linda. What a magnificent family. They have a great sense of humor, are warm and engaging, and I loved working with all of them on this memorial service. They collaborate well. They don't have ego issues. They have a sense of grace, and they especially loved their dad. And another characteristic of Sam was his embodiment, I think, of sacred masculinity. The sacred masculine is a new kind of man who is arising with an understanding that all life is sacred at its core. And without the sacred, masculinity can be incomplete because a man needs to realize and live and act from a higher and deeper perspective. And unless he does that, he's operating from a place of ego separation at the personal level. The sacred path is inclusive, connected, and recognizes the oneness of all life. So the three characteristics of the sacred masculine are unity, service, and gentle strength. And I think you've heard testimonies on all of those this morning from his family. So Linda had known his wife Shirley from her participation in a local service organization. And when Linda's husband passed away, she continued to be active. And when Shirley passed away, this service group held a gathering in her honor and invited Stan. And so Linda happened to sit across the table from Stan. And so his first idea was to reach out and invite her to go to CSL, the Center for Spiritual Living. And she was traveling for a while, so she couldn't accept the invitation right away. But eventually she did come to church, and they became regulars, taking classes together. And they started with foundations and then took all the prerequisites for the prac studies, which is our highest level of instruction at CSL. And Linda told me that Stan was the fulfillment of a dream. She had always wanted to be with a spiritual man. And so their love and partnership grew deeper, and they have been were together for 7 years. Gary Zukoff defined what a spiritual partnership is, and I think it reflects what it was between Linda and Stan. Gary says, spiritual partnership, the new female and the new male, are partners on a journey of spiritual growth. They want to make the journey. Their love and trust keep them together. Their intuition guides them. They consult with each other. They are friends. They laugh a lot. They are equals. That is what a spiritual partnership is, a partnership between equals for the purpose of spiritual growth. I think that describes the relationship. And so Stanley is back with the one, back home in the one. The beloved soul of Stan has returned to the one. We bow to the beloved in Stan, the beloved in each one of you. We bow to the beloved that is. Blessed be, and so it is. And so we'll see a beautiful slideshow that's been prepared by, or video that's been prepared by the family now. lovely, lovely slideshow. Wow. So at this time, we want to have a closing prayer from Reverend Matthew.
Wow. You know, I think Stan brought so many gifts, and I think they're going to continue to express themselves for each of you, each of us. What an amazing, soulful, loving man he was. And so this morning I invite you to close your eyes with me. And let's just hold Stan in love. And let's know that his soul has returned to the one soul. Therefore, he is present in the blade of grass. He is present in the drop of rain, in the ocean. He's present in the warmth of the sun that touches your skin. He is always with you. And what I know is that the gifts that he brought to this world, in their multitude of forms, will continue to touch your heart and your soul. And that maybe those times when you feel stuck, you'll remember one of his jokes. Or perhaps remember when he looked in your eyes and let you know that everything was going to be okay. What a beautiful day. What a beautiful experience to honor this man who gave so much. And a lot of what he gave, we don't even know. So I invite you to just hold Stan up in love and in gratitude. And know that he is sending that right back to you, right now. And I know that he appreciates all of you being here today. And he appreciates each and every one of you in your own individual way. So let's take this experience into our heart space and let it reside there. Knowing that when people leave this physical plane, they simply transform into whatever's next for them. Their soul lives on. And so I appreciate you being here today to honor this amazing, quiet, gentle giant. And may you be well and grounded, because I know that everything about today has been held in the one mind, the one spirit, the one all-knowing intelligence, which guides each and every one of us on our individual journey. I'm in deep gratitude for this time today, for all of you being here, for everything that you've all shared. And may you be well, grounded, and held in love. And so it is.
Thank you, Matthew. So at this time, we're going to hear a closing song, Imagine, by John Lennon. And Stan was fond of saying that he and John Lennon were born on exactly the same birthday, October 9th, 1940. So this song is in honor of Stan. And afterwards, we'll have refreshments in the back, and we encourage you to go outside on the lawn and socialize. So thank you all for blessing us with your presence today. God bless you.
Feel free to sing along if you like. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. no hell below us. Above us, only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us and the world will live as one.
So, would the family like to go first? We're going to ask that you wait till the family can go first down the aisle, and they'll be get a cookie or coffee or tea, and just go out on the lawn. I think there's nice fresh air out there, and you can take off your mask and enjoy conversations with the family. So, yeah.
Do you take requests? Do you do the battle of the Giants? gentle waters flow. The earth replied deep inside, a caring heart where love abides. And the sea goes on forever. Mountain tree asked the bird in flight, where do your children sleep tonight? Sang the bird in song so fair, their sleep in dreams beyond compare. And kindness goes on forever. Mountain tree asked the bird in flight, where do your children sleep tonight? Sang the bird in song so fair, they'll sleep in dreams beyond compare. And kindness goes on forever. When they wake with the dawn, bathe the world in heaven's song, and love the place where they belong. Heaven's song. When they wake with the dawn, bathe the world in heaven's song, and love the place where they belong. Heaven's song. Sky above asks the earth below, where do your gentle waters flow? The earth replied deep inside, a caring heart where love abides. And the sea goes on forever, forever. Father eternity, Lord of all things that be, mountains and majesty, guide us home tonight, Mother of nature, sing song of the endless spring, moving in perfect light, guide us home tonight. Tears wash the ages clean, love comes from one unseen.
story.